changed.
Very nice. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome. I hope everyone here and at home are having a good start to your day and looking forward to a wonderful Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Kwanzaa celebration. My name is Jeff Meller, and I'm a member of the board of the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. I welcome you here on behalf of the board, the program council, and everyone gathered here and at home. We're especially delighted to remind everybody that there will also be a Christmas Eve celebration here at 7 p.m. this evening. You are welcome here, whoever you are, wherever you're from, and wherever you are on your journey. If you would like more information about TVUUC, please fill out the information card that you can find in the pockets behind the seats or on the pews in front of you. You can place them in the collection baskets which are located at the corners of the choir area as you pass by. For those of you who are online, please, you can go to the church website at tvuuc.org, and on the menu, Stay in Touch, fill out the virtual visitor card. This is a all ages service this morning, but if you're more comfortable to be with your child in the nursery area, you can follow the service there and be present with us. Please join us for the service, and then after the service, the coffee and conversation in the Greg McHenry Fellowship Hall, which is back that way. As we move forward together, please remember that we are each other's keeper. Now, as we enter into service, turn off your phone or any other thing that'll make noise like mine will, and we can proceed. Thank you.
This first piece of musical meditation is a tune that you will all know. It comes from an old English folk song, Green Sleeves. And the arrangement that I play is by, excuse me, Alfred Greathouse. None of you have ever heard of him, but Al Greathouse taught me to play the guitar in the 1960s, and so I've been playing this tune for about 50 years, which is startling to me.
This is a day, one in a long string of such days, year upon year, when we gather to tell the story of Christmas and of its echoes in our own lives even today. We tell it again and again in song and story, through pageantry and poetry, because we know that the very best stories have a life beyond the bare telling of what may have happened. They offer layer upon layer of meaning, multifaceted gems of truth about what it means to be a person in this world, trying our best to lift up what is worthy of celebration, doing our best to deserve this life which we have been given as a gift. We celebrate a lot of gifts this time of year, don't we? And today, on Christmas Eve, we gather in our church community here in this room and watching from many different spaces to tell the ancient stories again, to tell them in new ways and old ways. And this morning, you might realize, as we sing together and listen together and make joyful noise together, you might just realize that you are hearing the same story more than once. But pay attention, because it's different every time. We'll tell it in different ways and from different angles, but I will tell you a secret. Even the exact same story is different for every person who hears it, and is different every time you hear the same one, because what you take from a story has a lot to do with what you bring to it yourself. So some of the songs and stories we'll share today may be ones you're hearing for the first time, and I suspect some will be very familiar to many of us. And I love this mix of very new and very, very old. There's a deep place in my heart for ritual and repetition, the gravity that tradition lends to our sacred space. And we have room here today for both gravity and levity. In other words, for the serious and for the silly. How many of us like being silly sometimes? You may have a chance today. Because life is sad and funny and messy and complicated and noisy and beautiful. And I love hearing all the sounds of life when we are gathered together. And the sounds of life remind us that we are a community that is living. Come, let us worship together. and singing hymn number 244 in our gray hymnal, It Came Upon the Midnight Clear, 244.
It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to all, from heaven the news we bring. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lonely plains, they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its babel sounds the blessed angels sing. But with the woes of war and strife, the world has suffered long. Beneath the angels' strain have rolled 2,000 years of wrong. And we who fight the wars hear not the love song which we bring. Oh, hush the noise of battle strife, and hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophet bards foretold, when with the ever-circling years comes round the age of gold, when peace shall over all the earth its ancient splendors fling, and the whole world give back the song which now the angels sing.
One cherished element of Christmas in many households is the putting up and decorating of Christmas trees. Did you know, though, that it was a Unitarian minister who brought the Christmas tree as we know it to the United States? The Reverend Charles Fallen, a refugee from Germany, was the Unitarian minister in East Lexington, Massachusetts, in the early part of the 19th century. He missed the color and the excitement of Christmas as it was celebrated in the land of his birth. And one day before Christmas in 1832, as Reverend Fallen was strolling down a lane surrounded by a pine forest, his face lit up. Have any of us ever walked in the woods before? He knew exactly what was missing. When he returned home, he spoke to the family's cook and asked her to be very careful opening the eggs she used for cooking. He requested that she crack them open evenly, rinse them off, and save them for him. And next, he bought many candies and small candle holders and bonbons and mints and barley sugar and bright-colored paper, all kinds of things, and then he spent hours preparing a special surprise for his family. Then the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, as we find ourselves in today, Reverend Fallen took a shovel and a tub and walked to the forest. And he carefully dug up a pine tree. And he put the tree in the tub, surrounded the base with moss, and took it home. He brought it into the front room of his house and closed the doors when no one was looking, and then he prepared the tree. And that evening, he and Mrs. Fallen gathered their children outside their parlor door. They lit the candles, and then the doors were opened, and the children stared with wide eyes at the decorated tree. And every year after that, Reverend and Mrs. Fallen prepared a tree for their family and their guests, and other families began to decorate trees too, and soon it became a holiday tradition that spread across the United States. Now, in preparing for this service, we invited those who wished to bring an ornament to share for our tree today. And we'd like to invite everybody who has an ornament either to bring it forward, or you can hold it up high and see if there are any helpers in the room who would like to help bring ornaments forward and decorate our tree for us. And we have lots of extra ornaments here too. There are enough for everyone. So all who would like to help decorate are invited to come on up as we sing our song now. Come and help us. And we need some tall people to help decorate this tree. So we need folks of all sizes, some folks to get the bottom and some folks who can reach the top. Bring up ornaments and take ornaments here, and let's decorate our tree together as we sing. Those of us who are left here sing our next carol, "O Christmas Tree." The words are printed in your order of service.
Christmas time has always been a good time to engage in pagan rituals and decorating of the trees, which is older than any religion, any written word, any scripture, any temple. Each of the ornaments represent a thread in the tapestry of our lives, and we have now decorated our tree, a little bit of each one of us coming together to make a beautiful whole. The green of the tree's branches remind us of the new life and the new hope celebrated in the story of Christmas, and its ornaments remind us that each life is a beautiful gift that enriches our beloved community. We are as diverse as the ornaments on this tree, and each of us has a contribution to make. Together, we are more than any of us can be alone. Voila. At the conclusion of this service, we invite each of you, as you are moved to do so, to come forward and choose an ornament to take home with you, an ornament that's different from the one that you brought, a reminder of the warmth of this community and the gifts of love and service offered by the people here.
Good morning. Good morning. Merry Christmas. I would like to invite us all to turn to the camera that's got its light on, and if we could just wave to everybody who's joining us online and all the folks who are joining us who couldn't be here this morning. I'm the Reverend John Coffey, a member of the spiritual care team. On Sunday mornings, even on Christmas Eve, we bring the joys and concerns of our community in an acknowledgement of our shared lives together. If you have a joy or concern to share or would just like to talk with a member of the spiritual care team, please feel free to reach out to the Pastoral Care Line. The Pastoral Care Line is staffed every day by members of the spiritual care team. If you'd like to connect with us, you can call or text us at the number that's in the order of service or on our website. That number can also be found in our weekly newsletter. This morning, we have a few joys and concerns to share. With sadness, we report that Sylvia Smith's brother, Larry Smith, in Kentucky, passed away this week at the age of 76. In Sylvia's words, he passed away after a 6-year battle with Agent Orange-related dementia. He was drafted right out of high school to the Vietnam War, and Larry was a devoted religious family man, a fun-loving, cut-up, and stained glass craftsman. Larry brought much laughter and joy to the world, and he will be missed. Jenna Mashburn shares this update about her husband Bob, who fell earlier this week. He is doing well. He had hip replacement surgery on Thursday and will be moving from the hospital into a rehab facility after Christmas. He is doing well and is looking forward to help with pain management and regular physical therapy. We also report that after Kate Benson had her back surgery on December 12th, other issues came up while she was recovering. She's now feeling some relief while in physical therapy at Pat Neal Rehab for the next couple of weeks, and she's very glad to have her daughter Beth here in Knoxville spending time with her. I also don't have this one written down, but we want to send our healing wishes to Mark Mahundro, who has been out for this past week. He broke his leg last weekend and had surgery at UT Hospital. And because of the nature of the break, he's going to be in rehab for a number of weeks. In his words, the long haul. But he's got a lot of good support, and his mom and dad are checking in on him regularly. And we also send our love and support to David Asbury, who is out this morning after spending a bunch of time with our volunteers, working and putting together the music, not just for this service, but for the service this evening. So for David and our volunteers this morning and tonight, can we just give a big round of applause and thank you to all of them. With these joys and concerns mentioned here, and those joys and concerns in our hearts but left unspoken, please join me in our congregational response. The words are printed in your, nope, they're not. Sorry, it's different this morning. This is why you should read the order of service before you do it. We have a prayer and silent reflection now.
As we gather on this Christmas Eve, let's recognize the tapestry of our world, a blend of joyous celebrations and enduring struggles. And I share words from Hannah Keeley. Tonight, our hearts are turned to the persistent conflicts, notably in places like Palestine, Israel, Ukraine, and Russia. Amid these challenges, the timeless teachings of Jesus guide us on a journey of love and right relations. Though the political landscape may seem distant, the call to decolonize our hearts and minds is ever present. urging us to consider our individual and collective responsibilities. We are reminded to use our unique gifts for healing and transformation, especially in times of global unrest. This call is not merely a suggestion, but perhaps an imperative for each of us. The Nativity story, set in occupied territory with a vulnerable child at its core, speaks profoundly to our shared humanity. This and the life Jesus lives in the stories illuminate that even in the most trying circumstances, every child holds the potential to bring about positive change. It underscores that our choices, both individual and communal, contribute to shaping a more compassionate world. As we gather this Christmas Eve, let's hold in our hearts all those affected by conflicts worldwide. Our time together is a moment of collective compassion, a beacon of hope and reaffirmation of our shared commitment to love and transformation. And now we'll enter into a short time of silent reflection, recognizing that silence is never really silent, is it? We welcome the sounds of life around and within us as we take a few moments for contemplation. Thank you.
A 100% of our offering today goes toward our church's Helping Fund. Before I tell you more about the Helping Fund, let me orient to ways to give. If you look in your order of service, there are many different variety of ways to give. If you are still carrying around cash, if you still have such a thing in your pocket, or checks, we have collection baskets at the end, and when you leave, you can place money in there. You can give with a credit card or a debit card through the kiosk in the lobby. You can text a message, send TVUUC and amount to 73256, or you can give through Realm. So there's many different ways to give. But what this does is throughout the year, so the collection today helps us throughout the year with people who come and knock on our door asking for help. And the needs that people bring are varied. In the last year, there has been many rent increases on short notice, and so people have really suddenly learned that their rent is much higher, and so we have helped in situations like that. We've had people who needed help with utilities. We've had people who need help with food, and so there are an infinite number of ways that people need help. We work in cooperation with other organizations in our community through the Compassion Coalition to make sure that our limited resources are augmented by the resources that are in the community. So this is to make sure that we can always say yes or always help people when they knock on our door. I invite you to give generously.
We're going to go on to our story. But I am going to share a story, but I cannot do it by myself this morning. I'm going to need some helpers. So first, everyone present is going to be a helper at a point in the story. So we're going to share a story, and there are sound effects that go along with it. So everybody here, I need you to listen for some lines, all right? So when I say, the marching of the Roman guards outside the gates. I want everybody here to march. Ready? We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stop. Shall we try it again? Ready? The marching of the Roman guards outside the gates. All right. Is anybody here a mother? Is anybody here a father? All right, we have some folks today. When I say the size of a mother's relief, anybody who is a mother or has mothered, would you heave a big sigh of relief? All right. And now fathers and people who have fathered, you have a little bit more of a challenge. When I say, and the soft humming of a father's voice as he held the new baby in his arms, I want to invite you to hum a little tiny bit of Silent Night together. You ready for this? Perfect. When I say heavenly choir, I would like anybody here who feels inspired to sing out this morning to sing out a little Alleluia. All right. Then I need some helpers to come and join me up here. So I need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 people who would like to help make noises to come on up, and you're going to get some props. Some folks, come on up. Let's see, yeah. Come on up. All right. All right, so you can stand right up here in front. All right, somebody needs a staff. I hear you talking about a staff. Somebody's going to crinkling of stars. Would you like to crinkle? All right, I have some sandals that need to be clapped. They have never been on feet. Those are clean sandals. Who would like to blow some wind? Can you blow across the bottle when it's time, when I talk about wind? I need somebody to slap those together when it's time. All right. I need some crinkling, rustling of hay. I need somebody to be the donkey's clip-clops. All right. There you go. You're going to clip-clop those together. And I need somebody to be the cow and say, moo, when it's time. Cow. And we need a family of sheep. I need a couple people to baa. Can a few of us who are up here baa when it's time? All right. Are we ready? I put down my words. Okay, and if you would all stand and look out to everybody here, we're gonna tell our story. Thank you for my helpers. Are we ready? Yes. I will tell you when it's time. I will let you know when it's time. Are you ready? The first Christmas carol was not sung by a heavenly choir. It was not accompanied by the majestic chords of the piano. Or the light touch of a flute. The first Christmas carol was sung by the choir of life itself, whose voices came together for one brief moment of hope and promise. The first Christmas carol began with the sound of the low, faint, moaning wind whipping sand across the hillside. Then were added the introductory notes of footsteps on a hard-packed dirt road. The clomping of a donkey bearing a heavy load. The tapping of the staff of a man who sought shelter for his wife. Next, the song increased with the crackling of a million stars in a frost-black sky. The hollow notes of the temple bell. And the marching of the Roman guards outside the gates. After a brief pause was heard the soft rustling of hay. And the closing of the barn doors. The reluctant bass voice of a cow who had given up her place. and the excited bleating of a family of sheep discussing the strange events. Strange indeed. And finally came the melody, the sharp, insistent cry of a baby, the sighs of a mother's relief, and the soft humming of a father's voice as he held the new baby in his arms. Our Christmas carols are songs that hope to capture the meaning of the birth of that baby. The first Christmas carol was the magic of that birth and the magic of the birth of every baby. Our Christmas carols are notes and symbols on a page telling us how to sing. The first Christmas carol is the melody that appears in our hearts telling us how to live. Thank you to all of my helpers. And we will gather the things right back in the basket here, okay? Right in the basket there. Thank you so much. All right, so we have heard the first Christmas carol now. I read it from a different place. Are we ready now to set the scene? So we've heard the sounds of the first Christmas. Now we need to see it. All right, we're gonna see the first Christmas. And so I need some helpers. Let me make sure I know how many I need. We're gonna create a tableau right up here, but we need your help. We've got some simple costumes for some folks who would like to help take part, but we don't have people to fill them yet. So we need some people to go in them. And so let's see. We do have our Mary and our baby Jesus, who can come on forward. Mary and baby Jesus, but we need a Joseph. We need a grown-up type person to play our Joseph. Who would like to come forward and be a Joseph this morning? Come on up. All right. Welcome. And we've got a little costume for you right back here. And now, what's missing? What else should be in our nativity scene? We are going to have a Mary and a Joseph and a baby Jesus. Donkeys? We need some animals. So I need about 10 helpers. Now, is there anybody who didn't get to be a helper last time who would like to this time? So would you like to come up and be a helper? We have a basket full of costumes to come out, and the whole basket can come out so our animals can get dressed. I need about 10 people. All right, volunteers. We have cows and doves and donkeys and sheep. So who would like to come up and be animals with us? Come on up. And yeah, if you came before, I just want to make sure everybody had a chance. Come on up. And we're going to come on up and help out. We're going to get these on you while we are singing. So while we're getting set up here, we invite everyone else to join in singing hymn number 259 in the gray hymnal, We Three Kings, number 259. One of our wise people is coming up to see the baby up close. Okay, our tableau is complete, and now is the moment of magic. I'm going to share some words from Victoria Stafford, but there is a role for everyone here. When I make this gesture, please say together, "Now is the moment of magic." All right, so let's practice.
Now is the moment of magic.
When the whole round earth turns again toward the sun, and here's a blessing. The days will be longer and brighter now, even before the winter settles in to chill us.
Now is the moment of magic.
When people beaten down and broken, with nothing left but misery and candles and their own clear voices, kindle tiny lights and whisper secret music. And here's a blessing. The dark universe is suddenly illuminated by the lights of the menorah, suddenly ablaze with the lights of the kinara, and the whole world is glad and loud with winter singing.
Now is the moment of magic.
When an eastern star beckons the ignorant toward an unknown goal. And here's a blessing. They find nothing in the end but an ordinary baby, born at midnight, born in poverty, and the baby's cry, like bells ringing, makes people wonder as they wander through their lives what human love might really look like, sound like, feel like.
Now is the moment of magic.
And here's a blessing. We already possess all the gifts we need. We've already received our presents: ears to hear music, eyes to behold lights, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other tight in love. Thank you. And if any of our wise babies would like to be able to head out, you may. And we're going to keep our tableau here. You are welcome to sit down or head down as you need to. All right, thank you all so much for your help.
You heard the song earlier. I invite you to hum it along with me if it's familiar to you. This song is a very old song, and it's had many different words set to it. It has been a bawdy pub drinking song. It has been a romantic song addressed to a mysterious woman, and it's also been a Christmas carol addressing the Christ child. Maybe the song is saying something more than the words. Maybe the song is saying something deeper than the words. Religion at its best takes us to that deeper place. Heinrich Zimmer once said that the best things in life cannot be spoken, the second best things are misunderstood, and the rest is just chit-chat. On Christmas Eve, we want to reflect on the best things, the things that cannot be put into words, because words can be the source of conflict. Many years ago, when I was a teenager, my family came up with a great idea for a Christmas tree, that instead of cutting down a tree, we were going to go dig one up and then place it in our home, and then we would replant it after Christmas. So a very eco-friendly idea of Christmas. And so we went out into the woods and we found the perfect tree, and that's when the argument began. The argument began over what is the best way to dig up a tree. And my mother and my sister Shannon and my brother Sam and me were in the middle of this disagreement on the exact right strategy for digging up the tree, probably augmented by some theological differences. My sister is on the pagan end of the spectrum, and my brother's an Episcopal minister, so a little bit of theology mixed up in there. And but finally we did dig up the tree, and we placed it in our house, and it was a beautiful Christmas tree. And after the Christmas Day, we went and replanted it, and it died a week later. So I think that is, I always thought it was the argument that did it in. But we're especially aware of that right now, and there won't be Christmas in Bethlehem this year. The concerns over war, the concerns over safety, the concerns over the worth and dignity of people has meant that all the decorations have not gone up, and none of the celebrations will happen. Earlier we sang that hymn, "It Came Upon a Midnight Clear," which is a song that was written by a Unitarian minister and is an anti-war song. It was written as a song against the Mexican War. And so today we are especially mindful of the need for peace in the world and how words so often lead to conflict. Words are not the most important thing in religion. When St. John was a young man, he used to preach long, windy sermons that would go on and on forever. And as he got older, his sermons got shorter, so that by the time he was an old man, they would wheel him out and he would just say, "Love one another." Let's say that. Love one another. Love one another. That's simple. Words just aren't the most important things about religion. Oddly enough, I've got a story that sums it all up, and it's odd to me that a story that sums up the meaning of Christmas is actually a Sufi Muslim story. But the story is about a teacher who went all the way around the world teaching people how to build fire. And he just went from village to village teaching people how to build fire until he'd gone all the way around the earth. And once he had completed the whole circumnavigation of the globe, he went to see how the villages were doing. And he went to one village and he found the people shivering in the cold, and they were reading a book to each other. And he said, "What is that book?" And they said, "Oh, this book is about the teacher who came and told us how to build fire. It's a wonderful story. You should listen to the story with us." And the teacher said, "Yeah, but do any of you remember how to build fire?" And the people said, No, we don't remember how to build fire." Next village he went to, the people were gathered around a statue. And it was a statue looked a little bit familiar to the teacher. And so he said, "Who is this statue?" And they said, "Oh, this is the statue of a great man. A great man came through here many years ago, and he taught us how to build fire. And so we built this statue to honor the great man." And the teacher said, "Well, yeah, but do any of you remember how to build a fire?" The people said, "No, we don't remember how to build a fire." And he went to the third village, and there was a great temple in the middle of the village, and there was a fire at the center of the temple, and all the priests in the temple were gathered around the fire, and they were warm, but everybody else was outside in the cold. And he thought that was strange. And then he went to a fourth village, and he could see the lights before he got there. He could see the light shining out of people's homes, the fire in people's fireplaces, the glow was coming out the windows, and the street lamps had fire, and so the streets were lit up, and there were people sitting around a fire singing and laughing and telling stories and singing songs. And he wandered around the village, and you know what he found out? No one could remember his name. No one could remember who he was. No one remembered the story, and there was no statue to honor him. But the teacher said, that's fine. It was okay with him because the best way to honor a teacher is not by building a temple. The best way to honor a teacher is not by writing a book. The best way to honor a teacher is not by building a statue. The best way to honor a teacher is to practice their teachings. For the best sermons are always deeper than words. Amen.
We are going to take part in our ritual sharing of the light in just a moment. We invite folks to remain seated. Although if you are up here and would like to take part in the light, you can head back to get your candle and be where you are, or you can come up here, and I can bring some candles to folks if you're staying up here. So when you entered this morning, hopefully you were offered a battery-operated candle. We do have some extras in baskets here if you do not have one and would like one. And we're going to invite everybody to wait to light it until I begin, by turning on my light when we start the second verse of the traditional candle lighting song, Silent Night, in a few moments. As the story goes, one winter the organ went out in the cold, dark church, and the author of the carol was told to write a song that could be sung without organ accompaniment. And so he wrote a lullaby for a newborn child, the kind of melody that has cradled many of us in this congregation our whole lives, rocking us gently toward the peace of Christmas. And so to remind us of that night, we will sing the carol together today, and we will light our candles at the beginning of the second verse. Our room won't get very dark this morning. It's not nighttime yet, but we will share more light in any case in a moment, and I invite us all to sing our carol, Silent Night. And let's see. It is number 251 in the gray hymnal, 251.
When we sing our musical benediction a little bit later, I'll invite you to turn off your candles at that time. And though we extinguish these lights, we know that the light of our community can never be extinguished. We know that it will be with us through the darkest nights as we carry this light of hope in our hearts as we return to our homes. as a symbol of the gifts of love and the presents you have brought to and received from our church community, don't forget after the service to head right up and grab you an ornament, one that's different from the one that you brought. And these words by Howard Thurman: when the song of the angel is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoners, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among all people, to make music in the heart. Prophetic Church, the world awaits your liberating ministry. Go forward in the power of love, proclaim the truth that makes us free. Big hand for our casts, all the people that played a role and help a role. Catherine for pulling it all together. As our last act of worship, I invite you to turn and greet your neighbor, or a donkey, or a sheep,